Well, good morning, and welcome to a pleasant daybreak in Bangkok. And just woke up, grabbed myself a shower, and it was only through the night I had the epiphany. Now, I want to tell you a story, and I want to um, um, continue this conversation in another video. But right now, I'm off for my morning coffee. My channel's called Koffee With Al, and I've been living a kind of less than ordinary life, shall we say. And it's only really in the last couple of weeks I got the epiphany. Now, the idea, the dreams, the aspirations, the goals were always there. I've just spent some amazing time with my family, and funnily enough, my kids were encouraging me to build my YouTube channel. Now, I've been stop and start for quite a while. And ironically, the crazy thing is they're both YouTubers. So they were encouraged by me to break away from the kind of normal society-driven matrix type of life, you know, the 9-to-5 drudge, and to, at some point, break free and live a life of freedom. Now, they've currently flown back. We've just spent 2 weeks in Thailand, some personal time with the family, down in Koh Samui, Koh Phangan, miserable. The weather wasn't too good. And now I'm a kind of day, put my parents back on their safe flight back to the UK. And I'll continue my journey up north, going up to Chiang Mai, sorry. Yeah, this is real. It's uncut, the real me, beard as well. And I want to bring you along on my journey because I have some things to share. Now, the crazy thing is, I mean, you know, an avid 55-year-old person unraveling all this mythical stuff about freedom, living life, earning money on the internet for many, many years. Written a book, more about that later. Written several products, again, more about that later. And the one thing that was missing was the branding, the getting the message out there. I mean, we all have a message, don't we? I mean, you know what your message is. And isn't the world really crazy at the moment? You've got all that's happening in the US, you've got all that's happening in the conflicts between Russia and Ukraine, you've got Israel doing all their stuff. Isn't the world just a crazy place? And it's really, really easy to get caught up in all this political stuff. Now, the other side of the coin is old internet land is a complete wash with everyone trying to get their message out there, everyone to try and share, giving everything. Every time you go on the internet, social media, it's all about making money. And most of it's just complete hogwash, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, my message quite clearly is if you're not living that lifestyle or that life, then, and you're lying to people online about portraying your wealth, nobody really cares. I mean, this is the bottom line. And I think most people are trapped in the moment, and they're trapped because, you know, all of these great, amazing photographs of people living in paradise islands, you know, doing wonderful things, that it requires a lot of money. And I'm going to create my stories around dispelling that, because back in 2020, I left the UK, some 5.5 years ago. I left the UK. You know, normal drudges of life, relationship fell apart, etc., etc. And I set on my way, almost like throwing a dart into the dartboard. But I set off and went to the Philippines. Now, it wasn't entirely true because my kids had already been there about 6 months previous, and they kind of said, well, why don't you go to the Philippines, Dad? And I'm going to share some more stories about that experience. But for now, you know, just being grateful to the point that every morning I wake up, you know, we're all pushing on a little bit. Some of us, you know, 55 years of age, as I've already mentioned, but that is by no means, you know, old. I mean, it is to some people, but, you know, at the end of the day, as long as we keep moving, then life should remain, you know, really fantastic. And I think we've got to unravel this whole thing called life and just realize, what is it exactly that we're living for? Why are we on this planet? Now, I'm not into all this woo-woo stuff to a degree, although I do live my life in a neutral stance. You know, I practice, you know, not getting too involved with stuff. So I have my religion is the religion of neutrality. You know, I don't get sucked into all of this kind of left and right and all of this stuff. I'm going to use the word stuff quite a lot because sometimes it's just complex, and I don't really want to get down that rabbit hole and start talking about this kind of stuff. So, you know, I have a little bit of spirituality on my left, I have a little bit of scientific stuff on my right. I just keep moving. If you keep moving, you know, you keep finding things. And the more you move, the more you exercise the brain. And as long as you're focusing and concentrating on your health as a number one priority, then, you know, everything else is really materialistic and can be changed. Okay. So that really is a brief introduction about my Koffee With Al channel. Let's talk about, you know, a variation of, you know, life things from somebody that's really just out living this kind of freedom lifestyle, making it up if you like, but really kind of embracing the fact that I no longer rely on that society. Okay, let's get into this. Okay, before we get into this, share the love. Why not subscribe to the channel, ding-a-ling that bell, and follow me for some more great content. So, sorry, excuse me. Well, here we are. So I just popped into 7-Eleven actually because it was the closest place. I have a little bit of a coffee sin, if you like. And surprisingly, you know, it's one of the, when you're on your travels, if you can find a 7-Eleven, it's one of the cheapest places, and the coffee is quite good, quite exceptional, and especially by sort of commercial standards, you know, your big brands and that, which are, in my opinion, are literally just hot milk. Anyway, I digress. So in this small introductory video, I've already explained the epiphany that I had, okay? And I need to be completely transparent because there's no point lying. At the end of the day, you know, we're awash with this lies, fabricated stories and stuff on internet land. So the whole idea of the channel will be about, you know, telling it as it is, right? Talking about my life experiences, sharing some past stories, you know, maybe sharing some visions with you, because I think what we all need to do and understand is what this thing called life is all about. Now, every single person has a message, right? Every single person, and it doesn't matter, regardless of what age you're at. In the modern day world, you need to acquire the modern day skills in order to survive. Now, let's just take a brief look along the timeline from the kind of the era that when I was around, you know, and having previously served some time in the military, you know, I kind of experienced the fact that, you know, phone boxes, mobile phones, you know, internet, emails, all the new evolution. And then we come into, you know, the world of AI, and there's still people that are kind of stuck in that industrial age. And that's quite frightening for me. Now, of course, only a little bit frightening, because actually in the big scheme of things, you either do or you don't, right? Or you do or you die, you know? So nobody really cares if you're keeping up. And that's a lot to take on board for people that are stuck in society, and you don't really understand this. Now, I get people coming back to me because my comments are quite open, and I will only ever tell the truth. But unfortunately, the truth for some people takes a long time for it to sink in. Now, you've got to ask yourself the question, what is my end state? You know, because life does tick on. You might be 20-year-old, 30-year-old, whatever, 40, in your 40s now, thinking it doesn't apply to you. But, you know, the years start piling on. And now I've reached the amazing age of 55. And I'm grateful for the fact that I've actually, you know, reached this age where many people have sadly, you know, not achieved this. So that in itself is a message to be grateful for where you are right now. And if you can harness and own where you are right now, that is part of the biggest problem. Now, I will say one thing. You must discount this one thing I'm going to say to you, right? There is no blame, right? There is no blame. You are where you are because of the decisions and choices that you've made in the past, be it that they're good albeit that they're bad, all right? There is no such thing as failure, right? We only have setbacks in life, okay? The only failure, I suppose, is when you jump in that hole, they put the lid on you, or they stick you in the furnace, okay? That's it. It's all over. There's no more to be done. But up until that point, I think it's imperative that we sort of hit the stop button of life, if you like, and just take account for where we are and be appreciative that for what you've done right now is absolutely amazing. Whatever the statistic is on statistic internet land about the 4 trillion chance of you ever being conceived, you've arrived, okay? So I think the first thing is we must learn to be grateful for where we are right at this present moment, good or bad. Now, here's the thing, right? We live in a noisy world, right? A really noisy world. And it's all by design, right? So we're going to be unearthing some of these kind of what used to be known as conspiracy theories. But we ultimately live in what's called a theoretical world, right? Where people push out words, terms, insults, truths, lies, and it's all kind of theory, right? And we're going to go into some deep examples along the way when I introduce you to what's going to be known as Koffee Korner, okay? So we have the channel called Koffee Al, and then we have Koffee Korner. And every day we're going to pick some words, okay? Some theoretical words that get pushed about, abused, and we're going to do a deep dive into each of these terms, okay? And try and dispel that you can't just dispel the fact that you need to understand what it is that's coming out your mouth. Okay, you need to understand. And when we start to unravel these basics and we apply a little bit of manners, a little bit of gratitude, a little bit of values, standards, ethics, and morals, right? And I think you can find that the whole container that these things are placed in is all about you. Okay, and you are the most important person in your life, but you are the person that you most abuse. All right, and it's easy just to blame it on society and to blame it on other people, but ultimately you're wasting time. You're wasting time by just blaming everyone else instead of getting to work, firstly on yourself, secondly on understanding what it is that you're trying to achieve. Now, as the saying goes, you can have anything, but you can't have everything. So, for example, and I'm not the preacher, in as much as I've nearly reached my 2-year point of stopping drinking alcohol, okay, as an example. My choice, I was heavily involved with alcohol, serving in the military, and I was bloody good at it. I was good at drinking alcohol. And the measure of that was I could always get up and do my job. Now, whether that was a shop window, whether that was a front, that was what I spent a lot of my life doing, drinking and being in this haze, but still conducting my job to the highest level. And it didn't go unnoticed, with regular comments of people saying, oh, maybe he would perform a bit better if he wasn't always pissed, if he wasn't always drunk, okay? So I've just spent 2 years, well, actually, and I'll share the video with you, I got stranded during COVID in 2020 when I arrived in an island on the Philippines, Siargao Island. And I spent 2 years as an empty wetsuit, basically. Although there was a liquor ban, it was never enforced. Although there was a global pandemic going on, we continued life pretty normal. And I'm going to share some videos and some images with that later on. But something had to stop. I mean, I knew what my goals, my aspirations were. I had my dreams, and I'm no different to any of you. You know what you want to achieve, but you might feel stuck. So one of the things we will be discussing is about how to get unstuck. All right. Now, right this moment, this is raw. This video is the first video up, and it's going up. And why is it going up? Is because the strongest message that I received, and I've known about it for years, I've read it in several books, is just to get started. So this morning was a really cold spring out the bed, on with the video. Now, up until this point, admittedly, I have made lots of excuses. You know, my laptop got destroyed in Typhoon Odette 2021, and I'll share that with you soon. So, excuse me. And my phone was the phone that I had 5.5 years ago when I left the UK, so that needed to be replaced, and blah, 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 blah. We've all got a story, yeah, we've all got a story. But I'll be sharing mine with you, and hopefully some of the things that I mention will resonate with you. And that was it this morning. It was right, excuses aside, because you know what? I was wondering, you know, to make my life better, what would make your life better? More money? And then when you get more money, does it change? Well, no, ultimately it doesn't. You know, you've got millionaires and billionaires that have still got millionaire and billionaire problems, right? They've still got the issues of, you know, the three component parts of life, you know, the financial, the health, and the relationship side. And funny enough, if you were to split it down into three parts, they wouldn't all be equal, with most people focusing on the money, and less people focusing on what's the most important, is their health. Okay, so we'll break all that down. Look, I'm gonna have my coffee now. You can see behind me, that's the I think it's called the Skyline going into centre Bangkok. I'm going to spend one of the last days with my parents, and then I'm on a journey down to the train station, and then I'm off to the north. I'm going to Chiang Mai, and I'm going to spend about 3 weeks up there, really getting this channel sort of sorted out, and hopefully we can share some messages along the way. But get involved, you know, share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm going to try and make it as interactive as possible. And you know what the ultimate thing for me right now is? Just having some fun, you know, doing that. Now that might not resonate and can't resonate with a lot of you, but we're going to be dropping some bombs, and we're going to be sharing some stuff. I love that word. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Keep safe, guys. Take care. And I'm going to speak to you real soon.